see. What should I order? So many options. Let's see, should I get a decaf? No. It's too simple. I gotta do teaching today. Wait a minute. Oh no. I'm supposed to be teaching right now. I always do this. I'm always late for my teaching class for Korean. What should I do? Hey guys, sorry, I guess I came to the coffee shop a little bit late and I forgot that I'm supposed to be tutoring you guys right now. What should I do? Oh, hey, I'm sure they wouldn't mind, you know. I mean, I'm gonna buy coffee here later. I come here all the time, you know. They're not gonna care. They don't need this board. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome. Hey Himang, welcome back. Mikyok Oppa. Korean woman frozen in time. No, I think she's standing there waiting, or he is standing there waiting for the coffee machine. It's always really slow every time I come here. So sometimes it can take upwards of an hour and a half to make the coffee. Let's see here. Thanks, Billy. I'm alive this time. Yeah, you were dead last week. Welcome back to the living world. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started very soon. Before we get started, quick announcement. Most of you guys already know, but I do have a new book. So it's not new if you were here last week, but if you weren't here last week, this is, ignore the green part. I have a new book that I put out together with Talk to Me in Korean. It's 100 common Korean mistakes and then how to fix them. And it's really cool. So you can check it out. It's on Talk to Me in Korean website. If you're curious about what's inside, I have a video on my channel about it. And also Talk to Me in Korean has a video on their channel that goes into like specifics, like exactly some of the lessons that it covers. My video is more like a general, like what is it kind of video. So yeah, check it out. It's really cool. I have about 6 copies. Maybe I'll do like a giveaway in the future. I wouldn't be able to figure out the shipping. How would I ship it to you guys? If there's a way to ship this to you guys without costing too much money, I would be okay with doing a giveaway, maybe like a signed book giveaway. So yeah, welcome everyone. I'm just letting a few minutes pass so that we can have everyone filter in. Your book appears to have a hole in it. Yeah, that was intentional. You know, it's just some of the design choices that you make. An hour and a half. Yeah, it's very special coffee. Okay, so today we're going to be learning about several things that have to do with past tense. Now, today's lesson is specifically for intermediate learners. I should make that very clear from the beginning. If you want to know if you're at the right level for this lesson, there are some prerequisites. You should first make sure that you are, I would say a high beginner. So if you're a new beginner, you've just learned the alphabet and you know some phrases and basic grammar, today's lesson is not for you. Don't let me tell you what to do, but it's going to go over your head because it uses concepts that require other skills to use first. And one of those that you need to know first is past tense conjugation. And I don't just mean being able to change 하다 into 했어요. 했어요, that's the most basic past tense, you know, 하다, to do. Like 저는 공부해요, I study, versus 공부했어요. Of course, that's more of a basic conjugation, but by that I mean understanding past tense, this part. As in, if you were to see 했다, if you also already know that this is past tense, that's great. If you've never seen this before, then that means you do not yet know past tense well enough for today's lesson, because this is the base form of past tense. This part, you got the 2 시옷 on the bottom followed by 다. This is the base form for past tense. So you want to make sure you at least know full past tense conjugation, and typically high beginners would know that, but newer beginners would not know that yet. And you also want to make sure you can conjugate adjectives. So mainly by that I mean 90% I just mean regular adjectives. So changing, you know, let's say 작다 to be small into 작은, right? But it also sort of means being able to turn action verbs into adjectives too. Now, the lesson today is not going to involve this very much. It's just there's a couple examples that do. So if you're not 100% sure about this, it's okay. But at least be familiar that it exists, that you can also turn action verbs, such as, for example, you can have 공부하다 becoming 공부하는 사람, like a person who does studying, kind of like that sense, this sort of adjective. So you want to be really familiar, though, with adjectives as well as completely familiar with using past tense before today's lesson. And if you're not sure about those, then I would say wait until tonight after this live stream is uploaded to my YouTube and go and watch on my channel. I have live streams about adjectives. There's 2 live streams about using adjectives. And I also have, did I do a live stream about past tense already? I think I did, yeah. My live stream where I talked about conjugating your form, I think it was just last week. That one also talks about past tense, as well as I have a video on my channel. It was a really early video. Maybe it's like Learn Korean episode like 19 or 20 or something like that, where I discuss how to conjugate past tense. So check those out if you're not ready for today's lesson. Because today's lesson, as I said, is definitely intermediate level. Let me just check the chat for a second. Ehimang, 시옷. Yes. That's right. I'm always careful when I say like some Korean words. Normal Korean words can sound like swear words in English if you're not careful. That letter I did was one of them. There's a few other things, I won't say them. But yeah, that the name of the letters, well, the name of that letter is 시옷. This letter's name is 시옷. So this pronunciation due to sound change rules becomes 시옷, like that. That's how it's read. But that's how it's written, 시옷. And all of them have a form of E, some sort of letter here. We'll just put this. So some sort of letter here, and then some sort of letter here, and then this. And I'm sorry. This letter specifically, and then that letter again. So that's kind of the form you'll see for almost all of the letters. There's some exceptions, like such as this one, which is O instead of But yeah, you'll see the names of letters mostly follow this sort of system. Like if you want to know what's this name? What's the name of this letter? Well, it's this form. You put that letter here and down here, and you get he, pronounced as he, just like this. So yeah, I'm not going to be going into that today. That would be, I think I might have covered that when I did the Hangul, the sound change rules. No, not in the sound change rules. When I taught the Korean alphabet, did I do one I teach the alphabet? No, I didn't do one where I taught the alphabet. I don't know. I'm sure I did a video about it somewhere. It's in my Learn Hangul 90-minute video. So you can check it out there. Someone said, oh, Ameriliz, I didn't get a notification. Somehow my bell icon unclicked itself. Yeah, I noticed that most people who subscribe to me don't get notified when I upload new videos, but that's just the way it is, and it's okay. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, what we're going to be learning today first is about ton. Now, this is a 100% intermediate concept. Again, so this is not a beginning concept. If you're a beginner, you do not want this yet. Ton actually comes from something else, and it's related to another form that you're going to be learning about later in Korean, which appears everywhere. Tall. By this tall, I don't mean like tall 주세요, like please give me more. This is a different adjective. Sorry, this is a different adverb. This means more. This is not this. This is different. Anytime you see tall within a verb as part of the verb's conjugation, this indicates one thing every single time. Past tense. Past tense. Anytime you see anything with tall, ton, as long as it's assuming it's coming from this form, there could be, you could say the word for London in Korean is London. It's not, and it doesn't have to do with past tense. Anytime this is part of a verb, though, a part of a verb stem, this has to do with past tense. So that's the base meaning of this form, tall, which is related to ton in some ways. So yeah, just know that first, that this tall has to do with past tense. And there are many forms that use past tense. We're only going to be covering the ones that we put in the vote. But at the end of this lesson, if there's time, I would like to also cover some other common uses of tall or ton that you might also see, because they all have to do with past tense. So anytime you see it, if you don't know what that actual form means, like if you see a new usage of that form you've never seen before, you can at least know it has to do with past tense. So it's something that has happened in the past. Whether the verb it's used with is in past tense or not does not matter. That form adds the meaning of past tense to verbs. So how does it do that? When does it do that? How can you use it? We're going to be talking about all of those things today. So first, let's talk about the most basic, maybe one of the most common ways that you'll see this ton form used. Okay, this is like maybe one of the most common ways, one of the most basic ways you'll see this ton used, and that is to make a descriptive verb into a past tense adjective. So what is that? We've learned about this before, but basically what if you wanted to say something like, he is nice. He is a nice person. This is just present tense. Nice, adjective. Person, noun. He is a nice person. What if you wanted to use a past tense adjective? That would mean nice in the past tense. So not presently nice, but was nice. So how would we say a was nice person? Well, you can do it in Korean by using this ton form. So in order to do that, you simply take a descriptive verb in the past tense. So let's look at that. This is pretty simple, actually. I know the way I'm describing it, it seems very complicated. I'm trying to give you the full description of what it is, but the actual usage and the actual conjugation is very simple. So don't let this fool you if you've never seen this before. If you have seen this before, you're probably smirking. You're like, oh, I know this, Billy. This is easy. Yeah, it's easy. So let's just take the verb takda we used before, to be small. So takda, to be small. Normally, if we wanted to say, I have a small house, or that is a small house, 작은. We're not going to be covering adjective conjugations here, so I hope you already know these. 작은, now we have adjective. Small, 집. And then you can finish it with 이에요. It is. 작은 집이에요. 작은 집, a small house. Well, how would we say a house that was small, not a house that is small? So not a small house, but a was small house, right? For example, maybe you say, I bought a house that was small and I expanded it, right? So this might not seem too common to you. It might seem like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, when would I use past tense? Why would I want to say a house that was small? Wouldn't I just want to say the house was small? Do I really need to say a was small house? Well, you might want to in context. For example, like the example I just given, you might want to say, I bought a house that was small and expanded it. Or maybe I met a guy who was nice and now he's not. Something like that. Something just to emphasize it. You could, of course, say, I met a man and he was nice, but now he's not. You could say it directly like that, but if you want to use it as an adjective, you're going to need this form. So past tense of takda, to be small, if you know in the yo form is, 작았어요. But just the past tense stem. What we want is you can write it down with the stem, but if you want to remember, it's the stem part. It's just when you get to this part, when you get to these double 시옷 here, when you get to this double letter here, the double S's, that means this is in the past tense. Well, at least most of the time. So this is the past tense. This is another past tense indicator. This means general past tense. So anytime you see these two together at the end of a verb stem, it means it has to do with past tense. So there's exceptions. Like I said, this is at the end of a verb stem. This isn't in every situation. You might have the verb, 있다 obviously is not past tense to exist. But any other form, yes. Anytime you see this bottom, it means it's going to transition into the past tense form. So we have 작았어요 normally, but now we're just done. 작았, done. And that's literally all you have to do. You take a descriptive verb, you make it into the past tense, you get the stem of that, so you don't use the yo form or anything else after that. You stop once you get to this part. And then you attach 던. Now you have what's a past tense adjective, and now you can simply use it the exact same way. So now instead of 작은 집, a house that is small, a small house, now you have 작았던 집, a house that was small. A was small house, right? Now, it's not just used with 작다 to be small. I'm going to try to give you some better examples as you see it, as we go along with the lesson. But I should note that this sort of usage, you might be wondering, okay, so when would I want to use past tense adjective instead of just a regular adjective, right? It only depends on what you want to say. So I will say this, it's exactly as natural in Korean as it is in English. I'll say that one more time. If it sounds natural to use a past tense descriptive verb adjective, that sounds long. If it sounds natural to use a past tense adjective in English, it will sound natural to use that exact same past tense adjective in Korean. So this isn't like you have to learn what sounds right, like you have to be exposed to lots of Korean to get it. No, actually, if it sounds okay in English to say a house that was small, it will sound fine when you translate that sentence into Korean. If it does not sound natural in English to say I bought a house, like it's a house that was small, right? It's a house that was small. Like that sounds weird in English. So it would sound weird to say 작았던 집이에요. Like it is a house that was small. Like so, like what? Just say the house was small. What's your problem? But if it's in context, if it sounds natural in English, it will sound fine in Korean. Like you can say, I bought a house that was small and renovated it. Or this is a book that was green and now it's red. You know, I'm not so good at making example sentences. I apologize. Can any of you think of an example sentence in English that would sound natural to use past tense? If you do, write it in the chat. Maybe I'll try to translate it here. But basically, I just want to make it clear that it sounds natural in English, it'll sound natural in Korean, and vice versa. If it doesn't sound natural in English, this thing's dirty, then it will not sound natural in Korean. Okay, I think it's time for another eraser. So goodbye. Okay, let's get another eraser. Where I use a new eraser every single time I do a class. There we go. These things really do not last. Okay, let me check the chat for just a second. 먹던 음식. 시원진. Nope, that's not what we're doing right now. We're only using descriptive verbs as past tense. We're only using descriptive verbs because descriptive verbs with ton have a different meaning than action verbs with ton. So don't get ahead. You change erasers too often. Yeah, I know, like every single week I change erasers. My tea used to be cold, but I forgot about it. Well, you might want to say my tea, this is tea that was hot. So like the tea that was hot, or something like that. Yeah, I guess you could say, let me think of another example. Okay, let's do this. The coffee that was here. 여기, first let's just do that is here. 여기 있는 커피. Now, technically, 있다 is not only a descriptive verb, there's also an action verb form. That's the reason it has this 있는 conjugation, but we're not going to be talking about that today. Just know that 있다 becomes an adjective by becoming 있는. So, 여기, here, 있는 커피. Coffee that is here. So, you could say the coffee that is here. So, I drank the coffee that is here. So, whatever. 여기 있는 커피, 제가 마셨어요. So, I drank the coffee that is here. Well, what if your friend walks in and you're like, hey, where's the coffee that was here? Where's the coffee that was here? It was right here. Where's the coffee that was here? It would sound completely natural in English. And it will also sound perfectly natural to use that sort of structure in Korean. 여기. So instead of 있는, we're now going to do past tense, which is 있었. You can do 있었어요, but you know, we're done once we hit here. Done. Now, 커피. 여기 있었던 커피가 어디 간 거야? 어디 있어? 누가 마셨어? 여기 있었던 커피 내 거였어. That was mine. Where did it go? Who drank it? You can say anything like that, and you'll sound natural because it sounds natural in English. The reason it sounds natural or not is just if the context requires specifying that something was in the past tense as an adjective. So if the context requires that, it'll sound natural. If the context doesn't require it, it sounds really unnatural, just like it would in English. So that's your litmus test. That's your test to know whether it sounds natural in Korean or not. If it doesn't, you don't need to use it. You don't need to just add past tense. It will not make your sentence sound better at all. Nobody will hear 있는 커피 or 있었던 커피 in Korean and think that your Korean is better if you use this form. Because it only has to, it will only sound better if it matches the situation. Just knowing this conjugation alone is good. This is already intermediate form, being able to say 있는. But knowing 있었던 is not going to make your Korean sound better. It only will sound good if it matches the context. So just know that if it matches the context, if there's a need, a real need to say that that adjective was in the past tense, it no longer is, but it was. If there's a need for that, use it. It will make your sentence still sound perfectly natural. Otherwise, do not use it. Don't just throw this in your sentence thinking it'll make your sentences sound better. If you're like, oh, it was in the past tense, let me throw it in here. No. Think about what you're saying first so that you're making a natural sentence in Korean. Okay, so that's the first usage, and this is also very common usage. And if you've learned how to conjugate adjectives, we actually already covered this when I think we covered this when I talked about how to conjugate adjectives. So it's not really a completely new usage. But there's another time when you're going to use this form, this exact same form. So learning this conjugation is more useful than just that one form. And what it is, let me just make sure here. Okay. Oh, I should have started at 207. All right. So this form plus this, 것 같다. This is how you say, I think, or you think, if you're asking, anything that was in the past tense. So anything was. So if you say, I think the house was small, then in that case, you have to use this form. Because there is no other way to say, I think the house was small, than by making it into an adjective. The reason being, when we learned about this 것 같다 form, we learned how to conjugate it. It is actually just in any adjective, descriptive verb or action verb, plus 것 같다. So if you have an action verb, you could be like, 하다 can become 하는 것 같다, present tense, 한 것 같다, past tense, 할 것 같다, future tense, and the same works with descriptive verbs. Well, that's all that this is doing. It's an adjective plus 것 같다. But if that adjective is in the past tense, if you want to say something was a certain way, like I think the house is small. Well, I think the house was small. I think my coffee was hot. I think my coffee was here. Then you have to use this same exact form because 것 같다 uses an adjective before. So let's take a look at an example of that. Let's see. If you say, I think the house is a little bit small, you can say 집이 좀, a little bit. Normally, if you just want to say is, 작은, so now you have an adjective, 작은, small. 것 같아요. Just to be simple, we'll use the yo form. 집이 좀 작은 것 같아요. I think the house is a little small. And if we wanted to say, I think the house was a little bit small, just like before, 작았던 것 같아요. 집이 좀 작았던 것 같아요. So you're remembering you went to someone's house and they say, 집이 어땠어요? How was the house? 좀 작았던 것 같아요. 좀 작았던 것 같아요. I think it was a bit small. Yeah, I don't think we should get it. I think it was a bit small. 100% natural. Never will sound weird to use past tense of this exact same conjugation with 것 같다 because it's the only way you can make a past tense of something that you thought. I thought it was small. Now, this is where I need to make an extra point. Notice how it's 같아요, but in English we would say I thought the house was small. Notice in English we say thought for past tense and think for present tense. Korean doesn't do that. When you are thinking, actually, I should make it more specific. 것 같다 and 생각하다. Whenever you are thinking, so that'll be 것 같다 or 생각하다. They do not make these verbs in the past tense. Actually, you can make 생각했어요, but let's just keep this even simpler. Actually, there are times where you want to make 생각했어요 in past tense as well. So let's just work past tense. 것 같다 does not go past tense or future tense. You're not going to say 것 같았어요. 것 같을 거예요. Most of the time. it's going to sound awkward most of the time. You only keep this in present tense. It'll always just be 것 같아요 most of the time. Instead, you make whatever it is you think that's past tense before it. So if what you thought, past tense, was that the house was small, you only make the house was small, and then currently you think. I think it was small. I think he will go to school. I think he is, he was. Anything, any tense, you will change it before the 것 같아요. So any sort of tense you want to give to thinking, like whether it was I thought, I think, I am thinking, anything like that goes before this form. So do not say 같았어요. Like 작은 거 같았어요. Don't say that. 작았던 것 같아요. Got it? So in Korean, they will make the tense change, not the form. And this extends to the other form. I can't talk about it because there's not enough time. But there's some other tips about that. Maybe I can give in a future lesson. But in general, Koreans will make the thinking part of the sentence regular present tense, and whatever they thought or think or whatever, any tense will be indicated prior to that form. Let's do one more example. We have a little bit of time, not too much. Okay, because I do want to finish this lesson, today's lesson, before 3:30, even though it's quite long. Okay, let's do this. 철수, we're going to use 철수 again. So 철수인, this is from 이다, to be. 것 같아요. So 철수인 것 같아요. 철수인 것 같아. 철수인 것 같아. I think it is 철수. Well, what if someone says, who drank my coffee? 아니, 내 커피 누가 마셨어? 누가 내 커피를 마신 거야? Who drank my coffee? 아, 철수인 것 같아요. 철수인 것 같아요. I think it is 철수. 철수가 마신 것 같아요. Whatever you want to say. Let's just do this for this example. Well, what if you want to say it's not, I don't think it is 철수. I think it was 철수 who drank your coffee. It was him. Well, we just need the past tense of 이다, and 이다 becomes 이었어요, or 였어요, depending whether it comes after a consonant or a vowel, right? So in this case, it comes after a vowel. So we've got 철수였. Now we're done. Now we have the stem of the past tense adjective. 철수였던 것 같아요. 철수였던 것 같아. 철수였어. 진짜 철수였던 것 같아. I think it was 철수. I think it was 철수. So that's just one more example of how you can use it. But this form is extremely common, and anytime you're thinking about a past tense, you will have to use this 던 form. And this is the reason I'm teaching this part first is because, in my opinion, this is the most basic form of 던. When you use 던, when people ask what does 던 mean, it actually has different uses, whether it's being used with a descriptive verb or an action verb, which is why I'm kind of showing you guys these with the descriptive verb first. So let's go on to now the action verb, which is what you're probably all curious about. Action verb stem plus 던. Let's take a quick example. Just 하다. You get the action verb stem. 던. 하던. Let's do 살다. Let's do 먹다. Let's do 입다, to wear. So we just got a few examples here. So we could do 살던, 먹던, 입던, and you're done. Okay, moving on. So that's all you have to do. Really easy to make. Zero special conjugation rules. Literally just take the action verb stem of any action verb and attach 던 to the end. So what does this mean? Well, this form means one thing with some notes, with something you have to be aware of. This means had done. But now, if you find this form in other websites or books, you might see it simply described as something that had done or even used to, right? This form does not mean used to, literally. It does not mean used to. But you can use it that way. Why? Because it means had done plus, this is actually the definition of this is not just had done, but had done, let's say this, frequently. So has to be more than once. This is not had done, or actually continually works too. Continually. So this is not just like I had done, like I had liked something, but now I don't like it anymore. Oh yeah, I had liked him. I had been in love with him, but now I'm not. It's because that's something you do once. Like you like someone once. Like it's not frequently. You're not doing repeatedly frequently. Or you wouldn't say like I had worn my hat. Actually, let me say that. You could say that. You wouldn't say, oh, here we go. You wouldn't say I had bought something with this form. I had bought a computer last year at that store. Last year, I had bought a computer there. You cannot say that with this form. So that's what you have to be aware of, because buying a computer is neither something that you did frequently or continually. It wasn't something that you were continually doing over a period of time. The key word here is something that's happening over a period of time, not something that's just once. So something that's going on, whether that's frequently, many times, or just continually. You got it? So if it's something that just happened once, like I had bought something, you cannot use that. You cannot use this form. This form is specifically for something that's happening continually or frequently over a period of time. In that sense, it can have the meaning of used to. We'll talk about how does it have that meaning. Well, let me give you an example. First of what I was saying you cannot do. So 사다 means to buy. 사다 means to buy something. So let's say a computer I bought. 내가 사던. This is wrong. This sentence is wrong. I'm just showing this to you. Oops, messed that up. Okay, 내가 사던 컴퓨터. 사던. This is wrong. 사다 meaning to buy. So as I said, it has to be something you're doing continually or frequently. So you cannot frequently buy a computer unless, the only way I could think this would make sense is if the computer was, if you had an agreement with someone where you had to repeatedly purchase the computer over and over again every single day, the same computer, and the person who was only loaning it to you under the agreement that you would continually purchase it. Like, it makes zero sense. It makes no sense because you cannot continually buy a computer or frequently buy a computer. You buy it once. So this makes no sense and you cannot use this. But I've seen people use it this way because they learn in their books or or random blogs, they learn it means had done. So you think it means, oh, computer I had bought. I had bought it, right? Before, at that time I had bought it. It makes no sense in Korean. So what this is this works the same way as the descriptive verb does with ton, as far as how you use it. Meaning, this is an adjective. So once you make this form, action, verb, stem plus ton, what follows it has to be a noun. So it's not just going to be used by itself at the end of a sentence. You wouldn't just say 하다, meaning into 하던. You wouldn't just do 하던 at the end of a sentence and end it. That makes no sense. It's an adjective now. So you have to attach it to something. You can say 하던 공부, 하던 일, 하던 whatever noun you want to say, or with 먹다, 먹던 음식. You can't just say 먹던 and think it'll mean had eaten or something or had done. No, it has to be followed by a noun, so it has to be used as an adjective. But let's look at an example where it is used. So now I've explained basics of how to conjugate it. Now let's give you an example of how it's actually used. But let me first just check the chat for a second. What the heck is going on? Billy Musk, Billy Baggins, Bilbo Baggins, Bill and Ted, Bilbo. Oh, they're making a Bill and Ted 3 right now. I'm really excited about that. Bill Gates, dollar bill. What is going on? Okay, sorry, I'm going back to here. All right, let's do an example with our friend Charsu. Charsu does everything, good and bad. Charsu가. Oh, actually, that's for later. That's for when we do our next part. charsu가 먹던 피자. Okay, 저는, let's do this. 저는 철수가 먹던 피자를 버렸어요. So I threw it away. Okay, I'm like terrible at making example sentences, but you should get the idea. Okay, 저는 I 철수가, so 철수's doing something. What's 철수 doing? 철수가 먹던. So now we have 먹다 to eat, 던, making this now an adjective. Had eaten. So now we have the pizza that 철수 had eaten. Right? So when I use this 던, also keep in mind what this means is not just had eaten once, but was eating. So you can also think of this as meaning was eating, or even used to. Now, it would sound unnatural to say the pizza that 철수 used to eat. I threw away the pizza that 철수 used to eat. Like, kind of sounds a little strange because used to in English typically means that something goes on for a long time, right? Used to. You're not going to say I used to write on this board for 3 seconds. Like it does. You say used to for things that last a long time. So that's the difference, is that English doesn't quite match with Korean as far as this goes. But you can kind of see how it could have that meaning of used to in some situations. But here, no. Here was eating, had eaten. So 저는 철수가 먹던 피자를 버렸어요. I threw away the pizza that 철수 had eaten. 철수 was eating. So 철수's eating this pizza. Maybe he left some crumbs. Maybe he left the box or whatever. So I threw it away. That's pretty much all there is to using this form. Let's do another example. Yes, let's compare. Okay. 제가 oh my gosh, this new eraser. These erasers are just bad. I just need to get a new eraser completely. 제가 원하는. Okay, let's do this first with present tense. 원하다 means to want. So let's do 원하는. So 제가 원하는 means something I want. So now we have an adjective, 원하는, right? It's an action verb, to want. But because we attach 는, now we have an adjective. So after an adjective has to come a noun called. So the thing that I want, 제가 원하는 것이, so the thing that I want is that. 그거예요. Is that. So it's just a very basic sentence. Is that. 제가 원하는, so what it is that I want. This is present tense. We learned this in a previous live stream where we talked about changing action verbs into adjectives. So 제가 원하는 것이 그거예요. What I want, or I wanting thing. So the thing I am wanting is that. 그거예요. So this is regular sentence, present tense. But what if you want to say the thing that I wanted? That is the thing that I wanted. I had wanted it before continuously. 던. So we have 하다 becomes 하던. That's all you have to do to change it. So this is super easy to conjugate with action verbs. With action verbs. With descriptive verbs, remember it has to be the descriptive verb past tense, and that's not going to be the same thing. Unless the descriptive verb ends with 하다, in which case, yeah, then it'll be the same thing. Otherwise, no. 제가 원하던. So now we don't have present tense. Now we have the past tense. Had wanted is this. So the thing I had wanted is this. This is what I had wanted. This is what it sounds a little awkward in English to say this is what I had wanted, but literally the thing that I wanted before. I was continually wanting it, frequently wanting it. And that is the thing. That's what it means, literally in Korean. So 제가 원하던 것이 그거예요. So what I wanted is that. That's what I wanted. Oh, that marker. That's what I always wanted. 제가 항상 원했던 것이. 제가 너무 원했던 것이. Actually, I'm sorry. I switched the tense again there. 제가 원하던 것이. What I wanted is that pen. I always wanted it. Like that. That sort of meaning. Okay, so that's all that 던 means. Once again, as a summary, 던 makes it past tense adjective here for action verbs. And it means something that used to happen, as in something that had happened frequently or continually. Specifically, continually is fine to think of it continuing, something that kept going on and in the past. So that's how you can change a action verb into a past tense adjective. But we're not done. We're not done yet. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So when this is all really going to come together now once we get the next form that we're going to be doing. Okay, now you might see this with the verb stem, the action verb stem, and ton. Actually, I should do action. Let me clarify that. Past tense action verb stem. This is the same thing as before, but now we're doing past tense. This should click a little bit better when you see it used with action verb and past tense. Okay, so it's the exact same thing. Before we had action verb stem and ton. So, 하다, to do, becomes 하던. You can also use this with past tense action verb stem. So, 하다 normally would become 했어요, right? Or 했다 or something like that. So now you're done. Done. 했, and you're done. Is it funnier the second time? So this form and this form have very similar meanings with a slight difference, but you will see both of them used just as often. And I think this is what can confuse people when they see these forms. People see this form and they think, oh, past tense, past tense. This must be the form I should use when I want to say I had done something. Yeah, I used to do it. I used to live there. It's the thing I always wanted. That's the boy that I liked. That was the house that was small. They see this past tense and they think, oh, that's the one I should use. And they completely ignore this one because they think, oh, this is present tense because it doesn't have a past tense stem. This is present and this one's for past tense. No, both of these are past tense. The ton is what makes these past tense by itself. Past tense has a different feature though. Past tense does a different thing to the sentence. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. 23. Okay, we're okay on time. But it has a very similar usage. This also can mean had done. Okay, exactly like the other one. This can mean had done. Or in that sense, used to, depending what you're using it for. Let me give you an example. 제가 어렸을 때, oops, I wrote that really weird. 제가 어렸을 때, when I was young, 살던 집. Okay? The house I used to live at. The house I had lived at, right? This is just regular present tense. Had lived at. Or in that sense, you can think of it as translating better in this sentence. It seems to translate better as used to live at. Because I had lived in it. Frequently, continually, I had lived in it when I was young. So 살던 집. In that sense, this already means past tense because of 던. So this form also means past tense. It also means had done. It also can mean used to in that context. So we can do this. 살았던 집. Now we have the exact same sentence. All we did is we made this verb 살다 into past tense. So 살았던. 제가 어렸을 때 살았던 집. In this sentence, they have the exact same meaning. But there's a slight different meaning to the two forms. I'm going to talk about soon. But I just want you to know that overall, with one exception, this form in the past tense and this form in the present tense have the exact same meaning. Almost the exact same usage. With one exception. 던. If you just use the present tense. Let's do past tense here. Let's do present tense. And let's do future tense. Okay, this is past tense, present tense, future. Sorry, actually, why am I saying past tense, present tense, and future tense? This is just past, present, and future. Okay, I'm going to draw you a little diagram. Past, present, and future. So, if you use the regular 던 form versus the past tense 던. So, the regular 던 form means something happened in the past, but it also might mean that something happens currently. By that I mean, if you say 제가 살던 집, the house that I had lived in, it's possible that you're still living in that house. If you were to say 제가 원하던 것이, what I had wanted, it could possibly mean, doesn't mean it does. It does not mean you still like it. It does not mean you still want it. It does not mean you still live there. It does not have that meaning that you do. It has the possibility that it still goes on. 제가 살던 집. It's possible you still live there. It literally still means that's the house I used to live in. You might still live there. You might. And by context, they would know if you do or you do not. If you were to say, 제가 매일 입던 옷이에요. It's the clothes 입다, to wear. 입던 옷. It's the clothes I used to wear all the time. Oh, that's the shirt I had worn. That's the shirt I had worn. Maybe I still wear it today. So I could talk about this shirt. I could see my shirt hanging up in the closet. I could say, 제가 입던 옷이에요. That's the shirt, that's the clothes that I wore, that I had worn in the past. And I might still wear them. In this case, I do still wear those clothes, but I could use it because it's possible you still do it. So if you were to say 제가 원하던 것, the thing I had wanted, the thing I wanted in the past, it might be something you still want today. It might not be, but it doesn't specify. It could possibly be. However, if you use past tense 던, 살았던 집, 살았던 집, it can never mean, ever, that you're still doing it or that it still goes on. So if you were to say 입었던 셔츠, the shirt that I used to wear, it could never mean I might still wear it right now, or it's the shirt I wore in the past and I might still wear now. No, it's the shirt I had worn before and I never wore again. 살았던 집, the house I used to live in and I do not live in it anymore. 원했던 것, I used to want that and I do not want it anymore. I do not want it now. So if you wanted to say, oh, that's what I wanted, 제가 원했던 거예요, then they're going to say, so what? You don't want it anymore. That's kind of the meaning that you give. 제가 원했던 거예요. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted. It doesn't mean you still want it. So I hear people say, 제가 원했던 거예요, thinking it means, oh, that's what I used to want. Oh, give it to me. That's the CD. That's the CD. 제가 원했던 CD예요. That's the album I wanted. 제가 원했던 앨범이에요. Oh, 빨리 주세요. Give it to me. I've heard some people, Korean speakers, Korean learners, use that kind of construction and it's wrong because using it in past tense means you no longer want that. It's something that you had wanted in the past, but not anymore. If you still might want it, you can say, 제가 원하던. Just use it with the present tense. So that's a very small but important difference between these two forms. If, however, it does not matter if it's something that's currently happening, if you don't care about this distinction, all you want to say, you're only talking about the past. You're only talking about the past. You don't care about whether people think you're still doing it or not. Just use either. You really can use either. So if you just want to say, that's the school I used to go to. 제가 다니다, meaning to attend, to go to regularly. 제가 다니던 학교, the school I attended in the past. And you only want to say you're attending there in the past. Just use either. 다녔던, 다니던. It doesn't matter. If you want to specify, I do not go there anymore, then you have to use this. Or if you want to specify, if it's a school you still go to, you can add in this. Otherwise, don't stress about it. You only need to use the proper one if you really want it to be clear that you do or do not still do something anymore. Well, or you or someone else, depending on who you're talking about. So does that make sense? Let me just check the chat. Hopefully that kind of clears things up. I'll give you some more examples too. Unicorn mixer. My brain stopped working. Yeah, don't worry. It's an intermediate lesson. So if you're a beginner, anywhere in the beginner range, a lot of this might go over your head because you haven't been making these sort of sentences yet on your own. It's very clear. Okay. So let's do some more examples. So anyway, hopefully that clears up the difference between the two of them. But let's do some more examples of these two. This is a new eraser, and it's already streaking. Guys, streaking's illegal. Okay, let's clean this up. Yeah. Okay, maybe I do have an actual like official eraser that came with my pens when I bought them, so maybe I'll just use that. Oh, I got a donation. Oh, let's see. Tater Tot. Thank you, Tater Tot. Oh, and the whiteboard works, the lights work again. I didn't do anything, they just started working. They were broken for like a month. Tater Tot, thank you for the donation. And you gave me sunglass emoji with a thanks. Cool, cool. Okay, we are at 2:40, and I should be here on the lesson, but I am not. So let me move ahead. So let me give you an example with that. Okay, I already did the one with where I lived. Let's do two more examples because I think this is a very important form. 철수가 다니던 or 철수가 다녔던 대학교가 어디지? So we have 철수가 다니던 대학교가 어디지? And 철수가 다녔던 대학교가 어디지? And I'll say this again. Both of these sentences are perfectly natural in Korean. Totally okay. Neither is better than the other. Both of these are 100% correct. However, just note that if you said 철수가 다니던 학교가 어디지? Where's the school that 철수 used to go to? It could also mean 철수 still goes there. Maybe you're like walking down the street and you see the college. Maybe 철수's like in his 4th year or 5th year of university or college. And you see, where's the 철수가 다니던 학교가 어디지? Where's the school that 철수 was going to? Maybe he still goes there now, but where's the one he was going to? 다니던. 철수가 다녔던 학교가 대학교가 어디지? Where's the college that 철수 was going to but doesn't go to anymore? Where was the one he used to go to? So both of these are perfectly correct. And you're not going to get a strange reaction if you use either of these. You know, if 철수, maybe he's really old, maybe you want to say 다녔던, like, to emphasize he doesn't go there anymore, but you could just still say 다니던. It's going to be fine. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you still do it. It just means there's the possibility that it still happens. Just the possibility. Whereas this one has no such possibility. That's it. It doesn't mean that you have to still be doing it. So just be careful with that. Don't think you have to use one or the other. You're not going to mess it up. Let's do one more example. Okay, I already did 살다 for to live, but let's just do, let's do one more example, just of the past tense. 내가 어렸을 때, again. 때부터, so from when I was young, or since I was young, that's what we get. 내가 어렸을 때부터 and that's 살았던 or 살던 도시는 LA예요. 내가 어렸을 때, actually I wouldn't use 예요 for that. Let's just change it to 제가, so that way it matches. Okay, 제가 어렸을 때부터, since I was young, 살았던 도시 or 살던 도시, the city that I lived in, 살던, or the city that I used to live in, 살았던 도시는 LA예요. So the LA is the city that I lived in when I was younger, since I was younger. So if you currently live in LA, you could only say 살던. 제가 어렸을 때부터 살던 도시는 LA예요. You could only say 살던 if you're currently living there. You couldn't say 살았던. But if you moved away, you can use either. If you moved away, you could say, 제가 어렸을 때부터 살던 도시는 LA예요. LA is the city that I lived in since I was young. Or 살았던, either one, because 살던 doesn't mean you do not do it currently. It's possible you could. That's all it means. So if you currently live there, though, you could only say 살던. Okay. We got to move on because I have a bunch more stuff to cover. Double past tense. Okay, here's the fun part. Now we have el double pasto tenso. Double past tense, right? So what double past tense looks like is you have your regular past tense that ends in here, and then instead of doing like 했어요, right? 갔어요, any sort of these oyo, any of that, instead of that, you stop there, just like we've been doing with ton, and then you attach ot, and then you add whatever your ending is. So you'll start with pa, so there can be ossoyo, or 했었어요, like that, or 갔었어요, 갔었습니다. That's what's called the double past tense. And it literally is just sticking a second past tense ending onto this form. That's it. So it's double past tense. Now, what does double past tense mean? It's actually not too different from what the ton form means. But this is not an adjective. When you make the double past tense, what you get is not an adjective, but a sentence. Well, I should say a new verb, which can then be used to end your sentence with. Oh, I got another donation. Cool, let's see who's that. Evil Fairy. Evil Fairy. €2. Great lesson. Please, dab please to make Ahimang happy. Will that really make Ahimang happy? All right, I'm going to dab. Thank you. And hopefully that makes Ahimang happier today. Oh, the light's stuck on again. Okay, I guess that didn't fix. Whatever. Okay. I don't know. Whatever. That works. Or it doesn't. Maybe I have to buy new LEDs. I don't know what's up with them. Okay. So what this means is used to or had done. Just like done, but it's not an adjective. So if you wanted to say, I had lived there. So that's the city I had lived in there. Lived in there. That's the city I had lived in. That's the college I had attended. You know, that sort of sentence, you couldn't make it normally with 던 because you would have to make it an adjective. You'd have to say 살았던 or 살던 도시, right? The city I had lived in, or 다니던, 다녔던, 대학교, 학교, the school I had gone to. What if you just want to say, I had attended there, I had gone there, I had lived there? Well, in order to do that, you just use this form. You just use your double past tense and you have the same meaning of something that you had previously done. Now, this does not have anything to do with whether you're still doing it or not. So, present tense is possible, like whether you're still doing it or not. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't say like, oh, you're still doing it now, or oh, you're not doing it anymore. It's just a past tense form. You had done something. You used to do something. But more specifically, I think, the literal meaning of this is just had done. So I'll tell you why in a second. This form does actually not mean used to at all. There is nothing in this form that means you are doing it continually or frequently. But still, this form means used to in English. Why? This form, I think you could probably understand why the ton forms could mean kind of like have that meaning of used to, because they specifically mean something you are frequently doing or continually doing. However, this does not. This does not have anything to do with whether you're doing it frequently. You could say that's the shirt. I wore that shirt. I had worn that shirt. 그 셔츠, that shirt, 입었었어요. Instead of just 입었어요, I wore it, you can say 입었었어요. I had worn that shirt. It doesn't mean you used to wear it regularly or you wore it a bunch of times or anything like that. It just means you had done something. But yet, the more natural translation of this form is going to be used to, because Koreans use this form to say used to. Whenever they're going to end a sentence and they want to say, I used to do something, this is the form you use to say you used to, simply because this is the common one that's used. Koreans don't go out of their way to use a special form when they say they used to do something. They simply use the double past tense to show that it's not just past, but it's really past, right? Not just that I did something, but I had done something, like that. So this is the form Korean people use when they say I used to do anything. I used to live there. I used to eat that. I used to like that. I used to go to school. I used to study Korean, whatever. This is the form they use. Although literally it has no meaning of used to. It does not mean you did something continually like the ton adjectives did. It only means something had been done in the past, like the past. So that's it. But this is the form you want to use. So anytime you want to say used to, like I used to do something, use this form all the time, nearly all the time. There's one more form we'll learn next, but I would say use this one. Let's do some examples. But yeah, this form is super, super useful because the next form we're going to be learning, I'll give you a glimpse of it, 곤하다, and you probably saw it on the announcement for today's stream. 곤하다 is usually the one people learn as used to. They think, oh, to say used to, I should use this form. No, most of the time, Korean people say used to with this form right here. This is the most common way to say used to. And we'll learn 곤하다 next. That is also used to, but it has a slightly different meaning. And it doesn't even mean used to either. 곤하다 does not mean used to either. So just focus on this one for whenever you want to say used to do something. So let's just take a quick example of conjugation. We have 가다, to go. Past tense would be 갔어요, right? Or 갓. So 갔다 would be the base conjugation for past tense. Now we can get to double past tense. 갔었다, right? We have the 었다 added. Then if you want to conjugate it, you can say 갔었어요 or 갔었습니다 or 갔었는데 or whatever form, 갔었네, any form you want to use, 갔었죠, at the end of that. Any form can go on there, but the base form is 갔었다. Okay, let's do a sentence example. You can say something like 제가 거기, so I over there 다녔어요. So I 다녔어요. I wrote that so fast. I didn't even realize I finished it. Okay. This just means I attended there. So 다니다 means to go somewhere, to go and come somewhere. To, what would be the word? I guess attend if it's school, or commute if it's work. If you say 일, work, 일 다니다, that means commute to work, go to and from work. And if it's school, usually it would be like attend, like commute to school or attend school. So I attended there. So maybe you're talking about, yeah, that university, Korea University, 제가 거기 다녔어요. I went there. Past tense, the end. That just means I commuted there. Like, I attended there. I attended that school. The end. Totally fine sentence. But you could also say something like 제가 거기 다녔었어요. I had gone there. I had attended. In the past, the super past. I had attended there. Maybe you do now or maybe you don't. It's irrelevant. It does not even talk about that. It just says in the past, in the long, the past, before. I had attended there. Or a better way to translate this is just I used to. I used to attend there. If I want to say, Korean people will always ask me, oh, Billy, how is your Korean so good? 제가 한국에서 살았었어요. I had lived in Korea, literally, or more naturally, well, I used to live in Korea. And that answers their question because they're like, oh, how do you speak Korean? Well, 제가 한국에서 살았었어요. 제가 한국에 살았었어요. I had lived in Korea. I don't just say 한국에서 살았어요. I lived in Korea. That's okay too, but maybe you want to emphasize that it had happened in the past and it's done with. I had lived in Korea. I used to live in Korea. Not anymore, but I used to live in Korea. So to emphasize that used to, that it used to happen, it was past, not just something I have done, but something that was in the past. It's away from me right now. Use the double past tense. 제가 거기 다녔었어요. Oh yeah, you see, I used to attend there. But just using the regular past tense does not add that meaning of used to. So this is the form you're going to want to use every single time you want to say used to. Pretty much like 99% of the time, if you want to say used to do something, I used to go somewhere, I used to make it, I used to do that, use this double past tense. And that's it. It's very simple to make because you literally have 0 extra conjugation steps once you get to the past tense. You simply attach that extra ot. Well, once you get to this part, you simply attach ota, and then you can conjugate this for whatever you want. So 없어요, 없네, 없는지, 없는데, whatever you want. Okay. Are we okay so far? Can I move on to the next form I want to cover? Because I am kind of running behind, but I can't really do anything about that because, to be honest, this is a very long lesson today. Oh, Zablarone. Can I say stuff like 한국에서 살았었으니까? Yes, you can. You can use it just like a regular verb. So once you get the basic stem, that 없다 thing, you can add any sort of ending you want, as long as it grammatically makes sense. And there are some exceptions. There's some grammar forms that will only attach to present tense verb stems, such as saw, like because, saw. And I talked about that in a previous lesson. But if it's not one of those, yeah. 한국에서 살았었으니까, blah, 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 then whatever else you want to say. Because I had lived in Korea, because I used to live in Korea. I'm late. I was fixing my car. Were you fixing your car or were you getting it fixed? Like, were you actually repairing it yourself? And if so, what was wrong? I'm curious. Okay, the next one we're going to be learning is a very common one that you've seen. I'm sure you've probably seen it in books. This is the 곤 하다. You have an action verb stem and then you attach 곤 and then 하다, which you then conjugate. Most of the time, 하다 will be in a past tense, but it doesn't have to be. This is why I mentioned this really briefly, but this form also does not mean used to, but this is the one that you'll see means literally, they'll say it means used to in Korean. Before today's lesson, I looked up to see what do other resources teach this one as. And I saw, I think even my own book, I teach this as used to. You can think of it as meaning used to, that's okay. I mean, it can be used to mean used to, and it's fine. I can't remember what the explanation I gave in my book. Maybe I said it's like a little bit formal too, because it is. Anyway, literally though, I want to give you a secret. This literally does not mean used to at all. This does not have anything to do with the past tense. This is actually, 곤. 곤 is not some magical word. 곤, you might think 곤, oh well, 곤 means the used to part and 하다 is the how you conjugate it. No, 곤 means nothing. 곤 is a shortening of 고, the verb connector, and. Also can mean for like softening of the end of a sentence. So it has a few meanings, and I talked about that previously. And then 는, the topic marker. 고, 는, like I eat and leave. 먹고 가요. 먹고 와요. I eat and come. Whatever you want to say. He does this and studies. 공부하고 나가요. He studies and leaves. That 고, that regular 고, it's the connector 고 with 는, shortened to 곤. So it's not a magical form that suddenly gives this meaning of used to. And then 하다 at the end. 하다 that's not past tense. That doesn't have anything to do with used to. Well, what this actually means is together. The 고 with 하다 together gives the meaning of something that happens frequently. Something that occurs frequently. Just like we had 던, which was something that occurred frequently in the past, 고는, 곤. You won't see it as 고는 though very much. It's usually just going to be 곤. 곤 shows that something happens frequently, but it can be in any tense. So, when it becomes used to is when this is put in the past tense. So if you were to say, for example, 하다 becoming, let's just use 하다 for a quick example for conjugation. 하곤 했어요. That has to mean past tense because we have 했어요. But you could also just say 하곤 해요, present tense. We'll talk about that in a moment. Just kind of put that off to the side for a second. I just want you guys to know that this form does not literally mean used to, although it's okay, perfectly okay to translate this as used to. So I'm not saying that other sources that teach this as used to are wrong. No, I'm just saying The complete story is this. It only means something that's done frequently. And most of the time, you'll see this used in the past tense. So let's take a look at an example. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's do this. 그 식당, so that restaurant. 그 식당에서 일하다, so 일하다 to work, 일하곤 했어요. 저는 I or whatever 그 식당에서 일하곤 했어요. So literally, I did something frequently. What was it that I did frequently? Well, I worked at that restaurant, 그 식당. So we can translate this as I used to work at that restaurant. Literally again, frequently worked at that restaurant. I did frequently work at that restaurant. I used to work at that restaurant. So that's how this can mean used to. And that's why most places will just teach it as used to, because it's easier to learn it as just used to. But literally does not mean that. Let's do another example. Oh yeah, let's just do I used to study Korean. 한국어를 to study, 공부하다. So 공부하곤 했어요. 한국어를 공부하곤 했어요. I used to, so I frequently did study Korean. I frequently studied Korean, or I used to study Korean. Now, because this means something that's done frequently or often, you'll often see this used together with words that mean frequently or often, such as 가끔, sometimes, or 자주, often. Some sort of indicator of how frequent. You'll often see sentences with 곤 included with 가끔, 자주, 가끔씩, any sort of word like that. 자주, oh, I already said 자주. 잘 also means often 잘 also means often too. I can't speak. You'll see this used together with words like that to show how often it happened. So yeah, by itself though, it means something frequently happens. In this case, if you use it in past tense, used to is a totally normal translation, because when you say used to, it means something that frequently happened. You wouldn't say, that's the t-shirt I used to wear if it happened one time. It means I used to wear that t-shirt frequently. So 제가 자주 입었던 셔츠, the shirt that I had used to wear often. Well, 그 셔츠를 자주 입곤 했어요. 입다, to wear. 입곤 했어요. I frequently wore, I used to wear that shirt. That's it. So now we have one more way to say used to. But, as I said, this form doesn't have to be in the past tense. You might also see it in the present tense. And the double past tense that we learned before is still the much more common way to say used to. So if you did want to say I used to work there, you can just say 그 식당에서 일을, or 일, just by itself, 했었어요. This is already past tense. You don't have to add 일하곤 했어요. You don't have to add that I frequently worked there. You can just say simply I had worked there. I used to work there. That's it. If you want to emphasize that it would, let me say this again. If you want to emphasize that something happened frequently, use 곤 하다. Otherwise, don't. Just use the regular double past tense because it's more common anyway. Let's do one more example. 연락 means to contact. So 연락을 자주, frequently. Let's just do 하다, okay. 하곤 했어요. So I used to contact her or him often. 자주 meaning often. So frequently. I frequently did, often, contact is the literal meaning that we get. Or I used to contact her often. I used to contact him often. And that's why it can mean used to. That's how this used to is a really good translation for it, despite it not meaning used to. But, like I said, don't just think of this as meaning used to, because you can run into a problem. For example, you're not going to say 좋아하다, meaning to like. You're not going to say 좋아하곤 했어요. 좋아하곤 했어요. This is wrong. The reason being, you're not going to frequently like something. Like, I can't say, oh, I used to frequently like her. I used to frequently like that music album. It makes zero sense because you don't frequently like something. You don't often like something. You know, you could like doing something, but you're not going to frequently like something. It just sounds awkward. 좋아하곤 했어요. Like, what? You frequently like the plant? Like, I used to like, you're trying to say, oh, I used to like that plant. I don't like it anymore. I used to like it. 좋아하곤 했어요. That makes no sense because you're not frequently liking a plant. You do it once. So you cannot use this for things that you only do once. You also wouldn't say, like, I wore that shirt, you know, a shirt you wore once. And I say, 입곤 했어요. You wouldn't say that either because it's not frequent. Even though you might say, oh, I wore that shirt in the past. It doesn't make any sense in Korean if it's something that only happens once. So anything that doesn't happen frequently, you can't use it. So don't only just translate it as used to. I would say, if you're going to just translate as something quick, say frequently used to would probably work as a good translation in your head. That way you don't mess up using it. Used to frequently or frequently used to. Okay, so let me show you an example. You could also say something like 저도 가끔 let's say 한국 음식 만들다 to make, so 만들곤 해요. 저도, me too, 가끔, sometimes, 한국 음식, Korean food, 만들곤 해요. I frequently do. So now we don't have past tense, not frequently did, but now we have I frequently do make Korean food sometimes. Sometimes. This is optional. You don't have to add you don't have to add this sort of adverb for emphasis, but it often comes together with this form. You'll often see 가끔 or 자주 or some sort of indicator of how frequently coming together with 곤 하다 form. So now we have 곤 해요. So if you just learn this form as used to, you're going to think, oh, so I used to sometimes make Korean food, but that's wrong. This does not mean used to at all, literally. It only means to do something frequently. So I frequently do make Korean food sometimes. Well, yeah, sometimes I'll make Korean food every now and then. That's the meaning that you get. Totally natural because 곤 하다 just means something that you're doing frequently, right? You know, on a regular basis, regularly, commonly, often. If you want to translate it that way. Often, sometimes. Here it doesn't really match often sometimes, but it matches in Korean. Sometimes, just frequently from time to time. It happens more than once. It happens regularly. So sometimes I make Korean food too. That's the meaning that you get in Korean. And perfectly normal. Like I used to, and I still do. I make it all the time. So does that make sense? So you'll sometimes see it with the present tense. You won't see it with the future tense, but you can sometimes see it with the present tense because that's all it means. And I think if you only learned it as meaning used to, then you can get quite confused if you see that. So let me take a check at the chat for a second. How to use 곤 하다 with irregular verbs? The same way as with regular verbs. There's no irregular rules. It works just like 고, which just simply sticks on to the end of a verb stem. You don't have to do any conjugation. So any irregular verb, you just take the verb stem and stick 곤. 꽃. 피곤. If you said 피곤했어요, it sounds like you're saying the flowers are tired. So that wouldn't really make any sense. So you have to be careful about how you're using it. And that would also mean the flowers had regularly used to bloom. Kind of sound awkward. I'm not really sure what context that would work. Oh, we got a donation. And the lights work again. See, they sometimes work and they sometimes just break. Go Bear. Go Bear 1. Thank you. I got all the twos, the $2 donations today. Oops, dropped my phone. Okay. So that's it for the basic lesson, but we've got a little bit of time left, and I wanted to cover some advanced notes. So hopefully you kind of feel a little more comfortable with how done and past tense done, double past tense, done with descriptive verbs, all that stuff. But there's a little bit more. So I mentioned in the beginning of this lesson that the 더 inside of done is what signifies past tense. And you'll see that used in a lot of different forms. 던데, 다 던데, which is slightly different. 더라고 or 더라, 더니, 던가. Oops, I got another donation. Oh, it wasn't flashing and now it started flashing. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, there we go. It wasn't flashing before and then it just suddenly started flashing. Chris, oh, thank you. $5 donation. I'm going to do a dab for that. Let's see what you wrote. 감사합니다, 선생님. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to do a donation for Chris O. I mean a dab for Chris O. That dab's for you. And then for the other donators, Go Bear. Thank you, guys. Okay, so all of these forms have 더, this sort of 더 in them. 던데, 다던데, 더라, 더라고, 더니, 던가. And I'm sure there's some more. I just wrote down the ones I could think of off the top of my head. All of these are past tense. All of these are used with past tense because they have 더 in them, which signifies past tense. So we're not going to be talking about all of these today because that would be like just talking about these two or these three would be a full hour lesson. Just talking about these two in detail would be another full hour lesson. But I'm going to talk about just two of them. 던데 and 다던데. The reason being that these ones have 던 directly in them. So let's talk about these. Now, this is more advanced. So I would say if you are high intermediate, feel free to follow along. If you are still like feeling confused about the regular 던, skip this. But don't let me tell you what to do. Okay. To use 던데 and 다던데, they're actually they have the same meaning, they just work a little bit differently. 던데 is used after a present tense verb stem. And 다던데 is used after plain form. What you do is you take the plain form and you attach 던데, which gives you 다던데. Well, in some cases it could be 라던데. But anyway, 다던데 is just plain form plus, so you take the full plain form conjugation, like 가다 becomes 간다, 던데, like that. And then at the end you can attach 요 optionally if you're ending the sentence, as with 던데, 요. Okay, so what are these? What is this form? Okay, it's actually a combination of 던 plus 대. So you got the past tense form plus the 대 ending. Now, I'm not going to be covering the 대 form again. It's a full lesson. I have covered it previously, but basically it's just a connector that shows contrast between two parts of a sentence. It can mean and or but or therefore or though or anything like that. But it's a regular form, so if you don't know it, please watch my other videos about it. I've explained it in my previous live stream. It's also a live stream abridged version that explains the 대 form. But yeah, it's a combination of the 대 form and this past tense, 더, 던, ending. How it works is this 던데요 form, which is the present tense verb stem, plus 던데, so you can have 하다 would become 하던데, or 하던데요. Well, I know I should not have written these together. They are separate. Sorry, I'll keep these separate. Okay. So what this means is you are stating something, and expecting to hear a reply. Both of these are. Expecting a reply. 던데요 and 다던데 or 다던데요 when you use both of these forms, either of these forms, it means that you are expecting a reply from the person you are saying it to. So it's kind of like in English, ending a sentence with a question mark or a regular statement in English with a rising intonation. So you're making a statement, but you're ending your statement with a rising intonation, as if it's a question. Now, this is something we do in LA a lot, in California. I think it's like a dialect, or not a dialect. It's like a trait of people from the West Coast that we do what's called upspeak, where we end a sentence in, it's not a sentence, but you know how we end it with like upward intonation. Kind of like, well, I like that movie, right? And some people hate this. This is a feature of English. I like that movie. And it means, what do you think? I'm just trying to end it up. I'm just trying to end it on an upward intonation to sound polite because I don't want to be too forward. But in Korean, you can do this kind of same thing by using this form. So you say, I like spicy food. And some people hate this, upspeak. It's called upspeak. Some people hate this. They think it sounds really annoying. They say, just say you like spicy food or ask them if you don't, ask them if they like spicy food. But no, it's common in California and I do it all the time. So, it was a fun movie. It wasn't bad. And it means I'm expecting a reply. As in, you can think of this as kind of meaning like, well, what do you think? What do you think? Or, but do you think differently? I've heard people, I don't hate it, but I've heard people on the internet say they hate upspeak from West Coasters. West Coasters? Whatever you call it. People on the West Coast like me. I've heard people say they hate it. I like it. I think it sounds polite, but I understand people could hate it because it sounds annoying. So yeah, it's basically upspeak, but for Korean. So you can end your sentence. Oh, I should say that in Korean, it's not annoying though. So it's a way to end your sentence with that sort of feeling that it's not a question, it's a statement, but you're asking for their opinion on something. So in that way, it kind of is a polite way, an alternate way to be polite with asking a question by stating your opinion on something, or by stating a fact, by stating something that happened. So let's take a look at some examples of it. I'm just going to erase all this because I need some more space. Okay, you could say something like, 철수, so here's 철수. 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아하던데 요. Just put yo at the end, just be polite. 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아하던데요. 철수 does not, literally just 철수 does not like spicy food. 철수가 매운 spicy 음식 food 안 does not 좋아하다, to like, does not like spicy food. 철수 doesn't like spicy food. 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아하던데요. 철수 doesn't like spicy food. That's the meaning that you get in Korean, exactly. 철수 doesn't like spicy food. But then the person listening, you're kind of like expecting them to reply. Like maybe they're going to say, well, who cares? Or maybe they're going to say, oh, well, really? I didn't hear it. Or, oh, well, maybe we should eat something else, or anything. You're expecting a reply from them because you're showing the end of your sentence. It's same with ending your sentence with 돼요. It's just like ending your sentence with 돼요. So it has that same sort of meaning where you can also use 돼요 at the end of your sentence in a regular sentence like 좋아하는데요, 좋아하는데요, to have that same sort of upspeak meaning. However, there's one thing I did not explain clearly about this form, and that is to remind you that this is also past tense. So anytime you see the 던 or 더, it is past tense. So this form is not just 철수 doesn't like spicy food, but 철수 didn't like spicy food. I should be more clear about that. Anytime you see 더 or 던, it's past tense. So this has a similar meaning of ending your sentence with the 대 form with an upward intonation, just like 대 form can also have that if you remember from my lesson. But this is past tense. So 철수 did not like. Past tense. 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아하던데요? 철수 didn't like spicy food. You know, we went to the restaurant last time. 철수 didn't like spicy food. 안 좋아하던데요? What do you think about that? Do you think differently? Did he? Am I wrong? Do you disagree? Do you not care? Some sort of reaction. So I want to reply about something that happened in the past. If this was not in the past, just, you know, as a quick refresher, you can also just say 좋아하는데요? 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아하는데요? 철수 doesn't like spicy food. What do you think? You know, that rising intonation combined with the 대요 ending shows that you're expecting them to reply to you. And that's common in Korean, use this 대 form. But with 던, it just means something was in the past. So we can also use this exact same form, well, almost, with 다던데요. So we have the plains, remember we get the plain form, which is 좋아한다 던데요. So you just stick 던데요 onto the plain form, which will end with 다. So 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아한다 던데요. Literally is actually very simple. If you are familiar with the plain form, it's used for quoting. Here it's a quote. 좋아한다, 안 좋아한다. 철수 said he does not like spicy food. And what do you think about it? 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아한다던데요? 철수 said he doesn't like spicy food. Right? 철수 said he doesn't like spicy food? Kind of like that. So you get this feeling that you want them to reply, talking about something that happened in the past. And in this case, when it's used with a plain form verb, it means a quote. So plain form is the exact same meaning as the 던데요, just for when you're quoting something. That's it. You don't have to think of them as different forms. Like you don't have to think 던데요 is different than 다던데요. It's the exact same thing, just that when you're using it with a plain form, it simply sticks on the end of the plain form. So you get 던데요, whether it's after a action verb stem or after a plain form. And I should make a note about this. It's always the present tense. So if you're not using it as a quote, if you're just using it like we just had this right before, 좋아하던데요, it's always present tense. As I said when I showed you the form, it's just an action verb stem. It's not past tense. You're not going to say 좋아했던데요. No. Because you might think like, oh, it's past tense. You know, some people get this confused. They think, oh, it's past tense, so he didn't like it. He didn't like it. Past tense, so it has to be 했던데요. No. 하던. The past comes from this. That's the same with our other form when we learn the regular 던 with the past tense 던. The 던 by itself means past tense. Adding that extra past tense before it simply makes it emphasized that it's only in the past. And that's why it had the meaning of not happening anymore. But just this 던 by itself has past tense. So 철수가 매운 음식을 안 좋아하던데요? 철수 didn't like spicy food. What do you think? Kind of like that. Like, you know, what do you think about it? Or do you think differently? Or, you know, am I wrong? What do you think of what I said? I'm expecting a reply. Kind of like rising intonation or even just using a question mark in your statement. So that's all for today. That's all for today's lesson. That's all for today's lesson. 오늘은 여기까지던데요? Today is just up to here. This is it for the lesson. What do you guys think? You know, is that okay? Can I end it? Kind of like that. Okay, so thanks for coming, everyone. Let's see how we are on time. Yes! Oh, we even finished early! I'm so surprised I finished early because I time out my lessons like by how fast I have to keep going so that we can finish on time. And I gave myself 20 minutes for this advanced part, but we finished it in 15, so we're a little bit early. So, quick announcement again is that all of these live outlines with more example sentences and stuff we didn't get to are all available on my Patreon. So even if you're a $1 Patreon, you get access to all of these for every single live stream. You can go and you can sign up as a $1 Patreon, scroll down, see all of them, download them all, and then cancel if you want. I'm not going to stop you. But they're all on Patreon. And the ones who don't cancel, I really appreciate it. Also, make sure to join the Discord for updates because I'm going to post, I always post updates like where should I go for the next live stream? You know, today we're in a cafe. Or what should we teach? I get a lot of the voting, the original suggestions for what to put on the vote come from the Discord channel as well. So make sure to check that out. So, okay, now I'll take Korean questions for about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll stop for today. Let's see. Rain asks, does 던데 also apply to nouns? No. It's a verb ending. Oh, 무쿠. 무쿠. Thank you, 무쿠. Let's see. 방금 한국 여행 비행기 표를 샀어요. Oh, nice. You got a plane ticket for Korean travel. 1개월 동안 수업을 들을 거예요. Oh, where are you going to take the class? 그리고 서울에서 하고 싶던 활동을 드디어 할 수 있는데 제 한국 친구들을 만날 수 있어요. There's a few typos there. 빌리시는 저에게 언제나 영감을 주셔서 감사합니다. Hey, thanks, Muku. It's really nice. And you wrote it in Korean. Really appreciate that. This is advanced? Yes, definitely. This is the last part where I talked about 던데 and 다던데 is more high intermediate. But the whole lesson today was for low intermediate level, I would say. Like high beginner. Shark that appeared on my screen as he said the word Discord. What shark? I didn't see a shark. Oh, Ameriliz, would be cool to have more practice. Yeah. The problem is I have to find a balance of, do I teach more stuff or do I have more practice? And I can only pick one, because if I do both, then the stream's going to be 3 hours long. And I'm okay with a 3-hour stream, but I don't think you guys are okay with a 3-hour long lesson stream. So like while I'm teaching, I have to I give like just a few basic examples to illustrate it, one regular example or two of how it's used in a sentence, and then move on. But if I had more time, if I didn't have to teach as many things, then I could say, hey, let's give you guys a try. You guys try it. So today I taught 4 things. I taught, because you guys want to learn about 던, which has like a million forms. So we learned past tense descriptive verbs. We also use 던 with 갔다, with thinking. Adjective verbs, action verbs with 던. Past tense action verbs with 던. Double past tense, 곤 하다. And then also 던데 and 다던데. So if I were to only do only do 던 and not talk about double past tense or 곤 하다 or anything else, then we'd have a lot more time. So I guess it just depends what you guys want. Do you guys prefer that I spend more, that I cover more material, or that I do more audience practice? And let me know, because I'm okay switching things up if you guys would prefer something else. I do this for you guys. Petition to have one 8-hour stream on a big topic. If you guys want, sure, I am okay. I mean, I would just bring a lot of caffeine and I'd be okay. I'd be down for that. But really, who would stick around? It'd be like 10 of you, 10 of you like really devoted. I think a bit more practice. Sure. We could do like a vote. We could do a vote on that. If people think that they'd rather have less topics covered. So like, for example, if I do a stream on like the other stream where I did to have and to want. Well, if I were to switch it to only talk about to have, then yeah, there's plenty of time for audience interaction because I'm only covering like 2 verbs or 2 grammar topics. But yeah. Don't you dare. Are you saying don't you dare do an 8-hour stream, or don't you dare sing Baby Shark? I'm not going to sing it. I would literally build a coffee plantation in my yard for that stream. I'm okay with the 2-hour stream. Yeah, the only issue with the 2-hour streams is I wanted to set it to be an hour and a half maximum for myself, because I want to make sure that I have enough time for the lesson. I felt like when I did the 2-hour streams, I would often end up making them 2.5 hours. Like not including audience interaction, but like the actual lesson would end up being like 2.5 hours. And then the problem is people wouldn't want to watch a live stream that was 2.5 hours long later, just because it takes too much time. So I try to say, okay, let's keep them an hour and a half, but if they go over an hour and a half, it's okay. If they go to 2 hours, it's okay. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But I'm okay kind of switching things up. Maybe we can reduce how many topics I cover in each lesson. Like maybe, for example, for today's lesson, I would just not talk about 던데요 or anything like that. And then only talk about 던. Then yeah, I can try to switch things up a little bit more. Don't you ignore my message. I didn't hear what you said. I don't know what shark you're talking about. Just Bridges says, do another live private tutoring. Oh yeah, I would totally do another live private tutoring. That was fun. I'll have to ask who the person I did it with last time. Oh, I can't remember. No, was it Emily? I can't remember. Arian Stone. It was something. Arian. I think it was Arian. I'd have to ask her again if she'd be up for that because that was pretty cool. Tea plantation for next background. Okay, everyone. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming. I should probably fix their board. I don't remember what it said. I think it was like Kofi, $3, $5. I don't know. It's $5 now. More coffee. I don't remember what it said before. Coffee, $10. And then like pizza. They're gonna sell pizza. Pizza for $8. Okay. So hopefully they don't mind that I changed their menu. Thanks everyone for coming, and I will see you guys in the Discord chat. Take care. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. And remember to vote on Tuesday. Your vote matters.